So now we're going to stop down and get some info, feed your mind. You know what I'm saying? Get some information. And this is actually really important to me as well. I really can't wait to talk to this guest and find out. And I'm sure you will as well, especially if you're concerned about what's going on with diversity, equity, inclusion, nonprofits, et cetera. I'd like to welcome to KAZI 88.7 FM Paulina from the New Philanthropists. Good morning,
Paulina. How are you?
Hello, buenos dias. Good morning.
Yes.
It certainly is. Hace frío.
Yeah, I say muy frío.
Other than that, I'm good.
Yeah.
Cold. Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yes. Look at you. You're ready.
Yeah, just a little bit of Spanish. It's muy frío. Híjole madre.
Muy.
Good morning. How you doing? Other than being cold.
Great. I'm excited here to be with you guys. I always love being in community. So this is a great time for us to have some good conversations, deep conversations around what's going on, especially in the nonprofit space. Yeah. Yes.
Well, can you tell us about the mission of the New Philanthropists and why it's so important in today's nonprofit landscape?
Sure. So the New Philanthropists, we're an organization, a nonprofit as well, that focuses on bringing representation to nonprofit boards. And so what we've seen, and this is not just something that occurs in Austin, this is all across the nation, nonprofit boards tend to have board members, decision makers that do not look like community. Okay. And so you have a lot of people making decisions on what programs need to run, what budgets need to look like, who they're targeting. And of course, if those people aren't really tied to community in a way where lived experience is present, then you may not have the best people making the right decisions for that community. Mm-hmm. So in 2021, there was a data report by BoardSource that was put out there that 78% of nonprofit board members identify as white or Caucasian. And then when you look at, Annie Casey Foundation put out data that they serve 60%, nonprofits in general serve 60% people of color. So that diversity gap has existed. Yeah. It's been something that's been historical. It's not necessarily new, but at this moment in time, more than ever, we really need voices at the table that represent our communities. So that is what we do. We work with leaders from any type of leader. I think you come to the table already with so much knowledge if you're in a community and you engage in helping them become board members that can serve and be a part of that process. And we also help nonprofits learn how to really make room for leaders that may not come from the wealth circles that are out there, or that in general just have this inherited practices that really keep people from thriving in that space.
Definitely. The words diversity, equity, and inclusion all of a sudden have become bad words. Yep. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even, our illustrious leader in chief is, kind of on a sneak blamed, a bunch of folks who were, who passed away in a plane crash. They blame that on diversity, equity, and inclusion, or try to sneak diss it, which I think is probably the most ignorant thing I think of ever, anything that's come out of anybody's mouth. So I think with that, people need to remember that it's our diversity that made this country and continues to make this country. It's the inclusion of people, that, different kinds of people. If everybody was the same, first of all, it'd be a very boring world. Second of all, it just wouldn't be fair to look at everybody that has to be the same. Nonprofits, I'll be honest with you, I work for a nonprofit, 2 of them as a matter of fact, and I'm really concerned about what's going on or what will be going on in the next, year or 2. What are you guys, concentrating on in terms of that?
Right. So, as soon as the year started off, and even last year with SB 17 here in Texas, DEI has been under attack for, I would say, for sure within the past 2 to 3 years with SB 17. And so in the nonprofit sector, as soon as the federal freeze on funds happened, a lot of nonprofits just scrambled to really understand what do they do next? How do they make payroll? How do, in general, just they continue to bring resources to communities. And so that itself has caused a lot of instability and fear within the nonprofit community in terms where people are starting to have to let go of their staff. And so what does that mean? It all trickles down back to community, right? And how they're being served. And so this is when community needs us the most. Diversity, equity, and inclusion They're triggering words for many now, and a lot of nonprofits are looking, in order to keep their funding, how do they have to, in a sense, erase terms, erase words from websites? What do they do? Should they erase or not? So there's a lot of uncertainty, because at the end of the day, they want to keep funding coming their way. So at the end of the day, for us, the new philanthropists, we understand that there's jargon at play here, but we still need to do the hard work. We still need to go in the direction of what the essence of diversity, equity, inclusion is. It's more important than ever, because there's a reason that it's being challenged.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the biggest barriers people of color face when trying to join nonprofit boards?
Sure. So a lot of the barriers that have historically been there, that have kept us out of boards, really, I would say, is this idea that, you don't belong, right? You may not necessarily come from, I know personally, I didn't come from a space where I had people in my family serve on nonprofit boards. I didn't know what nonprofit boards did. And honestly, they felt like a wealth circle that I didn't belong in, because I am not able to write a $5,000 check on the spot, or go to these galas or anything like that.
Oh, you mean like Jabari does?
Hey, man, don't be hating on the fact that I can do that.
Only one of us in this room can do that.
This is true.
And so yeah, it's never been really an open space for us to come and join it. There hasn't been an invitation, right? And so we're here to demystify that, but also to make space for anyone that that is interested in that type of leadership position to come in and join, because you're needed. Your voice is valued and needed at these tables. So we work with nonprofits on taking away what we call board dues, or negotiating on what a board due is, because you do have to, contribute to that organization as a board leader in order to be a board member. So, there's board dues historically been like $5,000 or plus. So it's really about, there's also different types of currencies. There's social currency, your network currency, your advocacy currency. And so we're really looking on how do we really elevate that.
Thank you.
In a way where what we're bringing to the table goes beyond money.
Let me break that down just to make sure I understand. And in layman's terms, you're saying, instead of writing a check for $5,000 to stay on that board as a due, how about you start to show up at a couple block parties, some community events, that you're showing up at the Boys and Girls Club, at the YMCA. You add a couple cookouts. It just, like you're passing out flyers, you're taking selfies with people, and then that could be your resume. So when the board dues come up, you can say, hey, look at all these social media posts I had that I was at Chinese New Year. I was at Cinco de Mayo. I was at, at a variety of different things in those communities. Like that, what you're saying is that would be some of the negotiations you're offering?
Absolutely, yes. It's more about, what you bring to the table that can help further that mission. And that is your network, right? Or that is, we've been philanthropists in our own communities in different ways, from the faith community to having drives or just in general support when something goes wrong for a family. We know how to raise money. That's not the issue. But it's really, how high are the stakes for you to be a part of the decision making, right? And so we really need to switch that up. But we also want to prepare leaders on how to navigate that space, because you do have to look at budgets for the organization. You do have to understand how programming works. And maybe there might be ideas that you bring to the table that create more programming, that brings more revenue or grants or funds, right? So there's a lot of different ways to look at this. But we're here to really talk about how do we value the whole person and not just a pocket.
I like that.
Yeah.
So how do you help nonprofits shift from the performative DEI efforts to meaningful, long-lasting change? Because it seems like we're in for a fight. Some things have been wiped away, and now to restart them, the longer that they are shut down, the more degradation happens. People shift to other opportunities, and now we have to build again. So how could you help nonprofits make that shift?
Sure. So, the first thing that we really are non-negotiables for us is that this is a journey. We're not going to fix things in one quick fire strategy or workshop or session. Like, this is something we're going to have to commit some time to, because just like how we got here, we have to undo a lot of practices and processes that are keeping people from being able to create culture shifts on boards. And so we really look at recruitment practices as a big way. Like, how are you recruiting people? Are you recruiting like this is a job application? Because it's not. Board members are volunteers. They're not getting paid to serve on a board. You are committing time. You are committing, your skill sets. So we really want to make sure that nonprofits are stepping up in a way where they're willing to do some hard work and looking at their practices, the recruitment strategies, and understanding how to connect with community in different ways. So you may have some, I would say, legacy institutions in Austin, and these are the nonprofits that have been around forever.
Yes.
And so their leadership may not look anything like community, right? And we really need to look at how can they reconnect with leaders in those communities that can come in as board members.
I'm telling you, this is the exciting stuff here.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to think of call to action and looking ahead, kind of what I was mentioning there, because I know we're in for a long haul. How can local nonprofits get involved with the new philanthropists to strengthen their board diversity? There's a board right now that says, you know what? I'm so glad I listened to Dapper D, Simply Courtney, and Jabari, because I just realized, we need to do a better job of diversifying our board. So how can a local nonprofit, get involved with you guys?
Well, one, there's programming that we offer that take you through that process of relooking at all of where you're at, what the culture of the board is like. And also we do board matching, which is really great. So we do board matching where we center the board prospect or the community member that wants to sit on a board. We center them in terms of like, why do you want to serve on a board? What in a sense is the impact cost you want to be tied to, because that's very important. Your why is important.
Yes.
You're going to commit some time, so you want to make sure that whatever you join, you're like passionate about. And so through those both kind of, avenues from board matching to programming, nonprofits can join and sign up and really start their journey with us. And we're here to do a collaborative journey. At this moment in time, through our board matching program, we've placed 75 people on nonprofit boards. Yeah. So, and on the flip side, we're here to help our sister organizations, the ones that are not, that are having a hard time keeping their doors open because of this funding, right?
Yes.
Freeze. So we're here to make sure that they have board members that can really help elevate the organization, or like you mentioned, go out and gain more outreach and advocacy for their missions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for individuals of color who want to serve on a nonprofit board, but they don't know where to start?
Well, the first advice I have is that you belong at the table. Imposter syndrome is real. The sense of like, I don't know if I belong there is real for a lot of us. And so, but you do belong there. Your voice is needed. So wanting to serve on a nonprofit board is number one, but also knowing that you should and you can is number two. And also, you can go through us, of course, and you philanthropists will help you get matched up. This is about relationship building for us. This is not about, you're going to get into a board and goodbye. We really want we go through a very intense, meaningful process of making sure that you fit within a board that it's really you're passionate about. But the other way that you can go about it is one, volunteering or sitting on a committee for that organization, and then little by little understanding the dynamics and getting into the board. So bringing and understanding what skill sets you want to bring as well.
Yeah.
Like, we all have, I'm going to be honest right now, like there's lawyers that are needed right now on boards because of what we're going through.
Yes.
There's marketing and PR individuals that we need on boards because of how we have to really talk about the work we do. And even HR, any kind of experience you have is needed at the board. So it's really about stepping out there and making that commitment. And then, we're here for you. We're here to help you through the process and get you in a place where you feel like you can navigate that space.
We don't have too much longer. I wanted to make sure, did we get all of your talking points? It goes quick. I've got a ton of questions here. So were there any items that you specifically wanted to mention that we didn't cover up to this point?
I think right now we're in a state of we're overwhelmed in general in community about what's next, what are we going to do? And there's different types of activism, and this is one of them. Being a board leader is a way of coming in and helping community and making sure the doors stay opened. And so I guess the last thing I want to say is really, how do we all kind of come together and support each other? And there is a way, and this is board leadership is something that's important for us in this space. Just like during the pandemic, we made sure to focus on helping our organizations in our community stay open with board leaders. This is another round of making sure that we stay open, and we're here to serve communities.
Gracias por venir hoy.
De nada, muchas gracias a ti. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Appreciate you coming in. Now, do you have information that you can
Yes.
give in terms of how people can contact you guys?
Yes. We are on Instagram, so if you go to the New Philanthropist on Instagram, you can go to join us at our website, www.tnpaustin.org. You'll find us there, and of course Facebook. We're on Facebook. If you just look us up, the New Philanthropists, we're here. And yeah, give us you'll find tons of programs on there that you can join, but also drop us a line on Instagram, and we'll help you. We'll reach out.
All right, sounds good, Paulina. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you for braving the frozen tundra.
It's a little cold.
Yeah.
It's a little cold.
It's just a little cold. Our Texas blood ain't ready for this. That cat's been in the Northeast
Yes.
for a minute.
I lived
so
in
he's
Chicago, so yeah,
Oh,
for about
did
a
you
year.
really?
To the Windy
Yes,
City
yes,
Nice.
quite
I did.
often.
So I'm used to this, but at the same time, when it comes the first time it comes around, you're like, oh my gosh, this is why I moved.
Well, we knew she was about
Exactly.
that business when she came in her overcoat.
That coat is fire, though. It really is,
It
man.
goes to the flow.
Yeah, it
she
does.
might be 5'5", but her coat is 6'3". there are no drafts entering these spaces.
Nah,
I know.
nah.
I learned how to keep cold the hard way.
That was
Keep
very-
warm. Keep warm.
Yeah, that Chicago cold is special too. I got cousins in Chicago,
the wind
and that
chill.
man,
wind chill.
Yeah, man, I come up there with my bald head, and they look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah, you better put a hat on.
I'm saying a few hats. Paulina from the New Philanthropist, thank you so much for coming
you,
by. We
guys.
appreciate it. Love to have you back.
you.
All right, we'll take a break and come back. This